Hey, my name is Hannah Hill. I'm the Policy Director for the National Foundation for Gun Rights. Now, it is a lot of fun to sue gun grabbers, but what's even more fun is when all you have to do is threaten to sue and watch them scurry off with their tails between their legs. And that's exactly what just happened in New Mexico. So New Mexico was poised and on the brink of passing an assault weapons ban and a standard capacity magazine ban. Our friends on the ground there were telling us this was a done deal. They were saying that essentially this is almost certain to pass on a party line vote. This has been a legislative priority of the governor from day one, and she's ready to sign it as soon as it passes. Now, our organization has currently 7 lawsuits on this exact policy, semi-auto bans and standard capacity magazine bans, all across the country. We have 7. They are in 5 different federal court circuits. So we began laying the groundwork and getting everything ready to file a lawsuit in New Mexico as well. But first, we thought we'd do what we call a little saber rattling. We drafted and sent them what we call a cease and desist or a legal warning letter, where we're just kind of sharing with them exactly what we've been doing and what they can look forward to if they insist on passing that assault weapons ban. But first, before I share with you what we told them, take a minute, if you would, to like this video and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date on the latest Second Amendment and litigation updates. So, in this letter, we basically kind of shared with them that last year, the Supreme Court's Bruin ruling changed the landscape for Second Amendment litigation across the board. No longer are courts allowed to run cost-benefit analyses on the Second Amendment to see if, as the court has said, the right was worth insisting upon. No, now they actually have to look at the text of the Second Amendment and the history and tradition of the Second Amendment around the time it was passed in order to see, is there any excuse whatsoever for this government gun control? If there's not, and the burden is on the government to prove that, and if they cannot prove that, if they cannot meet their legal standard, then the policy has to get struck down by the courts. And the Supreme Court was very clear about that. So we brought 7 different lawsuits, and we told them, should you wish to read the nature of the legal arguments you will be facing, here's the list of these ongoing lawsuits in Colorado, in Massachusetts, in Connecticut, in Illinois, in Hawaii. And we pointed out that in our first lawsuit, we got a temporary restraining order blocking the enforcement of the assault weapons ban from a left-leaning judge who quite clearly sympathized with the reasoning behind the assault weapons ban. But he gave us what was a true good faith application of the Bruin standard. And he said basically, the court is unaware of historical precedent that would permit a governmental entity to entirely ban a type of weapon that is commonly used by law-abiding citizens for lawful purposes. And he's right, there is no historical precedent for that. And so we pointed out that there is no justification that can be offered to make gun bans consistent with the Second Amendment. And any time we're litigating on this and a good faith analysis is applied, those gun bans must fail. So we closed by telling New Mexico, should any bill banning the sale, acquisition, or possession of so-called assault weapons or standard capacity magazines be signed into law, the National Foundation for Gun Rights is prepared to file a lawsuit against the state of New Mexico in order to protect the constitutional rights of her citizens. Now, we made sure to send this letter to both the House and the Senate Judiciary Committees, because those would be the committees that would be considering this bill. And we made sure to send it to them in time for them to get it and read it before they actually sat down for their next hearing. So the Santa Fe New Mexican tells us what happened next. So they're talking about the bill, the Senate Bill 171. It would have prohibited the manufacture, transfer, or purchase of all automatic and semi-automatic weapons. And as they say, it was derailed Monday by members of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Lawmakers from both major political parties voted to table it after debating whether any such ban would violate Second Amendment rights. I don't think the bill would remotely stand a constitutional ruling. Senator Joseph Cervantes, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that name, but he is a lawyer, and that's what he said during the discussion. And later that same day, he tweeted, "There's absolutely no point to passing new laws which federal courts will strike down and which are clearly going to be deemed unconstitutional." The article goes on to say the bill raised questions among committee members about whether it is constitutional to ban such weapons in the wake of last summer's U.S. Supreme Court decision to expand the right to bear arms under the Second Amendment. So clearly, we sent the letter, and then suddenly they're having a conversation about the constitutionality of an assault weapons ban and whether or not it can stand up to the Supreme Court's Bruin ruling, clearly concluding that it could not, and correctly concluding that, they let the bill drop, and they let the clock on their legislative session run out without it passing an assault weapons ban. And so the rights of New Mexican citizens to keep and bear semi-automatic weapons is safe for another year. Now, I share that story with you to really emphasize the fact that just by fighting the fight, just by fighting all over the country in the courts to end semi-auto bans, we were able to stop this one in New Mexico from ever getting off the ground just by fighting that fight. And all of that is thanks to your support, because y'all are the ones who have made it possible for us to stay in the field and stand up to the costly legal arguments national anti-gun organizations are flinging at our legal team all over the country in every single one of these cases. Thank you so much for making that work possible. And know that the effect is cumulative. What you're doing doesn't just have an effect on the single state in which one of these lawsuits is filed. It has an effect across the board. And the more we do it, the more we're going to be able to keep these ever from getting off the ground. Now, we are a small foundation. We are limited in what we're able to do. But thanks to you and to your support, we are able to do more and more to protect the right to keep and bear semi-automatic weapons all over the United States. So thank you for staying involved. Thank you for your support. If you would like to contribute to our legal bills or to get involved in the gun rights fight, there is a link in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date with Second Amendment news. Thank you very much.